Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of 365 Days of Gaming. I appreciate you taking out time to check out this video. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate it, so thank you in advance. Now, today's video won't be as long as some of the other ones, but I wanted to highlight a type of game genre that I kind of made up in my mind, but it'll make more sense when I kind of explain it to you. I'm just going to tell you what I call them. These are laundromat games. And the first one I'm going to show you, it'll be some other games in the future, but the first one I want to show you is one of the Aerofighters games. This is Aerofighters 2. And the reason why I want to show you this game and why I call it a laundromat game is when I was a kid, we didn't have a washer and dryer in my house. So you had to go to the laundromat. Well, the thing is sometimes you would miss the laundromat trip, which means you didn't get your clothes washed. But the other thing means that you didn't get a chance to potentially get a couple of those quarters and use on one of the arcade machines they had in the laundromat. And the one that I most remember had a Neo Geo machine, and it had several different games. A couple of them I realized later on were not actually Neo Geo games, but Aerofighter was one that I always played because I could kind of make that quarter stretch. You know, they had like Samurai Showdown 2 on there, which I thought was really cool, but the problem was, since I didn't have the game, I couldn't practice it. And there was a chance that, you know, with some of these arcade games, these difficulties would be a little too high for me to waste my quarter on. And, you know, if you come from where I'm from, you know that quarter's precious. That's your gateway of entertainment. And washing clothes is not a short activity. And if I got $1 for all of the festivities that day, I had to make that last the entire time we were at the laundromat, which could be, you know, a handful of hours depending on how many clothes are getting washed that day. So I always wanted to play something where I felt like I could make my coins stretch, and Aerofighters was always one of those games. So hence the term laundromat games, right? And the game is, you know, it's straightforward. It's a top-down shooter. They have different characters. I always played with the ninja because, come on, I'm a kid in the 90s. It's a ninja in an airplane. I got to do it. But there's all different cast of characters. You have a couple people from America, a couple from Japan. Then you have some characters that are kind of from their own, like, I guess, independent made-up countries. One being a dolphin, which I also thought was a really cool character, so I played him some too as well. Because why wouldn't you want to be playing a dolphin that's a pilot? You know, I mean, that's an easy pick for me. But yeah, the game isn't, you know, it isn't a super technical game. It always looked really cool to me, still looks good to me to this day. And I've beaten this game a few times, not in the laundromat, unfortunately. But, you know, later on in life, I acquired, you know, a way to play them, and I enjoyed them, and I can always go back and just play them, and I kind of go back mentally to that time, you know, being a kid and just kind of zoning out while essentially clothes are in the washing machine or the dryer, or, you know, waiting to fold some clothes, and got a little free time, and, you know, got a few quarters in my pocket, and they're gonna burn a hole, so I got to put them in the machines. You know, and the other thing about being in the laundromat is, like, they're not really doing regular maintenance to the machine. So you always had to find the one that you could use that worked, because some of the machines, for, you know, better or for worse, you put the quarter in and nothing happens, and there's nobody to report it to, right? So you can't go up to mom and be like, I lost my quarter in the machine. She's going to look at me crazy. So, you know, Aerofighters is one of those safe bet games, right? And I always liked the top-down shooters. You know, there's plenty more where that came from, but I was like, you know what? I want to shout out a game that brought me a lot of joy during some very boring times and kind of saved the trip. And it almost made it to be like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to the laundromat because, you know, hopefully the Neo Geo machine was working, because it had multiple games on there, so you could switch between different ones. And that was always another cool thing, right? Is an arcade machine that had multiple games. So I always remember the Aerofighters, and it's always one of those games that I just kind of think about sometimes that has some good memories attached to it. So I wanted to shout it out. And if you played this game, who was your favorite pilot? Did you beat it? And if you beat it, did you beat it in the arcade, or, you know, did you beat it with quarters, or did you beat it at the house pressing the coin button on your controller? But yeah, love to hear from you about this game, because not a lot of people really talk about this whole genre, let alone a specific title in that genre. This is way before bullet hells and all of those things, which not for me, you know. And if you like them, that's great, but it's too much on the screen, and I lose my ship, and I get mad that I lost my ship, and I lost all my power-ups, and it's a vicious cycle. So I like Aerofighters. Simple, easy, fun to jump into, and you can make a quarter last on it. So appreciate you checking out this video. Y'all have fun. Y'all be safe. Peace.